Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into Sims Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we are going to be reviewing our Infinite Fates, right? Our Infinite Fates. Sorry, I've been reading a lot lately. Yes, haha! Our Infinite Fates by Lauren Steven. I have to say this was a pleasant surprise. So this was the Barnes & Noble Young Adult Book Club pick. In fact, this was the last Young Adult Book Club pick since they have discontinued that program. Sad face. Really loved hosting that book club. So, at first I was very hesitant, very reticent to even read this book because I read Society for Soulless Girls. I will include a link to that book right there. I hated that book. I hate that book. I talk about it and I hate it. I don't think I hated it so vehemently in my previous review. But I hate it. I hate that book. I hate that book. I wish I had DNF'd that book. And I think I do say that in that video. So it was I was very, very nervous about reading this book. That being said, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. And you know what? The moment I discovered OwlCrate was doing a version of this book, I should have known. I'm like, oh, so I will like it. And I loved it, in fact. It says it's for people who have read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and How to Lose the Time War. I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've not read the latter. I love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, as you can tell by my Invisible Life of Addie LaRue necklace here. Her freckles, consolation. Love that book. Love, 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 love that book. 100%. I will always love that book. I recommend that book to so many people. I definitely get those vibes when I'm reading this book. It follows Evelyn and Arden, and they are reincarnated every 18 years. They live 18 years, kill each other, and then they are immediately reincarnated again. Why? Because they are soulmates. Their lives are tethered. If one dies, the other dies. It doesn't matter if they kill each other, which they do frequently. They battle each other out. They kill each other. It's like a whole thing. They're cursed. They are cursed to be reincarnated repeatedly and cursed to murder each other. And their lives are tethered to one another. And it's quite depressing when you think about it that way. Why is that? That kind of also reminds me of something, and I can't really think of it right now. If you know what I'm thinking about, put it in the comments. It was a moving story, honestly. And you know what I loved about it? It was very gender fluid as well. So, as you're in the present and telling the story of Evelyn and Arden in the meantime, every couple chapters there's a poetry entry, which I think the poetry in the book is also quite beautiful and is bittersweet and lovely and heartbreaking at the same time. I do love those poetic inserts. But also there are chapters of these characters in previous lives. And it's going backwards in time. So you're going from, let's say 2019 to 2001 to, it's going backwards ever so slowly to the beginning. And they're not always reincarnated as male and female. Arden is sometimes reincarnated as a woman and Evelyn is reincarnated as a male, so sometimes they switch genders. And then other times they're both born as males and other times they're both born as females. And I think it's really quite wonderful to see that gender fluidity. And they even have a discussion in the book. She's like, which gender do you prefer? And he's like, I don't really prefer one. He's like, what about you? She's like, well, I kind of prefer being a female because I feel like I get a little bit more freedom being a fashionista. So I love the gender fluidity that just kind of circles. Because I'm someone who also likes to dress pretty masculine. I wear suits and I just love, being like a dude sometimes. Good thing my husband is super secure. I applaud the gender fluidity that goes from beginning to end. And I applaud the queerness as well in the novel. As someone who's also part of the queer community and an ally, I applaud that a lot in the storytelling. And I didn't even think twice about it, but it was something that was just like, this is really cool and really interesting, and I haven't seen this before. Usually when you have stories about reincarnation, they're usually almost always born as the same gender, you know, female, 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 male, 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 or, you know, female, female, male, male. But this one, she switches it up. Sometimes they're both born men, sometimes they're both born women, sometimes they switch, and sometimes they're the same. And I think that that's like really, really cool and really interesting. I think that adds also a lot of layers of depth to the characters, because Arden remembers everything from their past lives. He remembers everything. She doesn't always remember everything. She catches glimpses. She's like, they're fleeting memories, like they're dreams to me sometimes. And when I wake up, I lose them. You know? And I think that that's so powerful and impactful, because you see he has more knowledge than her, and you kind of hear the pain and the grief that's in his voice as he is telling her, like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. And it just moves really, honestly, I would have read this book in a day if I hadn't gotten a respiratory infection and gotten horribly, horribly sick. Usually I space it out and I'll only read like a quarter of the book up until book club, you know, that weekend before book club. I finished it in 2 sittings. A week apart, yes. But again, I only read the book on Saturday, and if I hadn't gotten really sick the day I started reading it, I ended up having to call out of work the next day because I had absolutely no voice. My coworker, no one recognized my voice on the phone. They're like, who is this? And I'm like, no one even recognized me. Like, oh, okay, yes, stay home. So it was a really, really interesting story. You know, the pacing was addictive. I think the characterization was on point. And I'm really pleasantly surprised that this author, who I went from just hating her writing style to I'm just like a fan now. Now I want to buy her new book, Silvercloak. I'm like, I don't know if I'll like it. I'm hoping I will because I love this book. I know I still have bad history and bad blood with her first book, but you know what? I'm going to overlook that because this sounds like something I want to read. So now I'm like a fan, and I love when authors can turn me from being not a fan to a fan. And this is why I always say, like, give authors second chances. Because this happened again with Kelly Andrews as well. I hated her first book, The Whispering Dark, and I loved My Blood, Your Blood, My Bones. And now she has a new book out, and I'm like, I need to get my hands on that and read it. So I love giving authors at least a second chance, because if I don't love their first book, it might be a struggle for me to give them a second chance, but if I really push through it, the 2 times it's happened, I am in love with their work now, and I'm like, wow, now I'm a fan. Am I going to go back and reread their previous works? No. There are reasons I hated those books, so we're going to stick with that. But this one, phenomenal. I loved it. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. If I'm telling you I hated her first book, and I was really hesitant to read this book, and that I fucking love this book, I mean, that just shows you. I think it's a really moving, it's a very quick, fast-paced story, and I honestly just enjoyed every moment of it. So yeah, that's my review. Thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.